Hey, welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge, and today we have the Young Black Stallion. This is a Disney Pictures film, but it's not really a film. It's like only 51 minutes long. It's a 4:3 aspect ratio, which means it was made for television. So yeah, it's a Disney Pictures made for TV movie. It is from 2003, which it feels older. It feels like it should be not 22 years old. It feels like it should have been made in like the early 90s at best. But with a almost I can't say a 70s aesthetic, because that's not just one thing. I mean, it's a lot, but it feels like it would fit in with some of the older films. It takes place in 1945 at the start of this film. Yes, it actually spans more than a year of time, despite the shortness of the film. And it's really just about a young girl, and why have I not brought the thing? Her name is Nira, by Biana Tamimi. Biana Tamimi. Sorry. She is the primary character throughout this entire thing, beyond the Black Stallion, of course. But even when she's on screen at the very beginning, there's very little talking. Even, you'd figure they'd build this out. She's just talking with a horse or something. What we do get, I'm not going to tell you the whole story, even though that's really tough to do and still have at least 3-minute long video. It takes place 1945. This is the Middle East, or Northern Africa, and this is her family's traveling by horseback and camel, actually, by camel through the wilderness, the desert, and when they're set upon by either a rival family or group or whatever it is, and they're like, "You get out of here. We're gonna go take care of this. You need to go away because you're a girl." And young women tend to not be treated well in certain situations when they are also considered obviously less than men. That will come into play later. So she runs off, but eventually loses her camel, and she's now on foot wandering the desert, and she eventually comes across the young Black Stallion. We actually get to see technically the birth of the Black Stallion. We don't actually see it, but at one point, an older horse, white one, just lays down in the desert at the very beginning of the film. And the next minute, there's a young little Black Stallion horse romping around near her. So you got the impression that she gave birth to the horse. I don't recall there's even be a narration for such things. It's just music, visuals, that's it, to give you the impression of what's going on. So eventually the girl and the horse, of course, they create a bond. That's what happens in the the Black Stallion types of movies. And by the time she eventually finds her way home after spending a good chunk of the beginning of the film nearly dying in the desert, either of thirst and famine or just, it's the heat. It was filmed in Namibia. Yeah, never mind. I'm just going to keep saying it wrong. I'm no point in me saying it repeatedly. So, and by the time she gets home, the horse gets freaked out by all the other things going on. It's never been interacting with humans before, so she was the first human this horse has ever seen. And she finds her home in devastation. I'm telling you the entire story. I realize this, and I'm sorry, but most people who are gonna watch this aren't like, "Oh my God, don't spoil it for me." Like, you kind of know the general structure of a Black Stallion film. Again, girl and horse create a bond, overcome some kind of obstacle in their lives, thanks to each other. That's great. Well, pretty much from that conflict we saw earlier in the film, the family's been reduced to pretty much nothing. Very, 2 people are left, I think, beyond her. And they used to breed and raise horses. Well, they're about to lose all of that when the people who are now in power have a big challenge horse race, and they don't really have a horse that can be in the race. Do they? Of course, it's going to be the young black stallion. I think his name is Chaton. The name Chaton, I don't know how it's spelled, but there's one spelling that actually is a demonic force. So, yeah, I don't know necessarily the intent in that. But either way, she eventually spends like a year without the horse. Eventually they come in contact with each other. The horse is now grown. She's grown a little bit. She's like 13 or something like that. And by the way, her voice is very American. That's why at first I thought they might have just filmed it in the Mojave or on the edges of the Mojave Desert here in California. But no, that's not the case. Namibia. I hope I got that right. So many alternating consonants and vowels that sound similar. So, and of course, in order to save the family's farm, their residence and their lives, pretty much, she decides she's forbidden, but she's got to enter this race with a horse that she's, for some reason, convinced can run super fast, even though it's really... I don't know if she was ever in a situation where the horse had to run fast when they were stumbling through the desert, nearly dying of thirst. But she's sure that this horse can win a race. And so she has to disguise herself, because racing against men, I don't even know if a woman, much less a child, were to enter a race with some very tough-looking, authoritative men, if she would enter, not even just win, but enter a race, you figure she'd just get her head cut off or something. Something bad would happen. Again, cultures sometimes treat women horribly. I don't know if this is the case with this culture, but the fact that she had to hide herself at the start of the race indicates that this is something that, even if it's not a murderous result, it would bring shame to her family for whatever reason, or shame to those who are competing against her, and especially if she won. How could you lose? Of course, I don't have to tell you what happens. You know when a thing like this happens, when there's a horse race, who's going to win? Is it going to be guy on random brown horse, or random white horse, or any horse that is bred to race for, their entire lives against the young black stallion who has his name in the title of the movie? Yeah, the young black stallion is going to win, of course. And she's even revealed toward the end of the race that she's a girl. Her head wrap comes off, and she's a girl, and people are cheering for her by the end. And surprisingly, her grandfather, who forbade her from racing, is cool with it. He actually congratulates her, and even one of her opponents, which doesn't really have that, we don't have any insight into what kind of person he is, really. Maybe I missed that. I don't know. There's also a man who's dressed in black, who is also he's stern, and he's doesn't like this, but she won. It's that kind of structure. But again, I guess maybe there's a sequel to this that would follow up on it. I don't know. It's not on Disney Plus that I know of. This is the only Black Stallion film currently on Disney Plus that I know of, because I've searched. So yeah, it's sparse on its depth of character or storytelling. It's pretty straightforward. It's not going to be too complex, and no, it does not get into the political or social ramifications of a young girl racing against a horse. That can be read into it if you understand what's going on here in the time of the mid 20th century. It sounds like I'm talking about someplace a million years ago. Yeah, and I don't know understand that I don't know what the culture is, but I understand there's a reason why women would hide such things. So you can read into it whatever you want, or you could read nothing into it. You could just go, girl, horse, bond, race, win. And that's it. And it takes place in the desert. So, and have it, and kids who love horses just will love it, because the horse is, it's a pretty great looking horse. And even when it's a little one, it's still great. I think there's got to be at least 2 horses in this that play this part, the young black stallion. And this may be the teenage black stallion, or the grown-up black stallion. I don't know. But either way, adventure awaits, and overcoming obstacles. There you go. It's not a bad film. It's not great, but I think it pretty much pays off with what it intends, what it's about. It's not the kind of movie I would have watched or chosen to watch, but yeah, if you like horses, this is for you. And yeah, that's all I can really say about that. Let's pick tomorrow's episode. 174. 174. Okay. Oh, okay. I know what this is. And I'm not going to mispronounce it, because it's really close to... I could do that, but I'm not going to. This is probably something that was released, I think, a number of years ago on Black History Month. It's a documentary. I don't know if it's a series or if it's just one thing, but it is Screen Queens Rising. This is about, I believe, black actresses and their rise in the world of film. And not just being black actresses, but being seen as quality actresses in their own right, I would assume. Not just because of their race. Screen, not scream. Not scream queens, because scream queens are women who are just like the greatest in like horror films and can do a good scream. This is Screen Queens Rising is what we're watching next. So the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. I'll see you back here tomorrow with that.